Hello, everybody. I'm Candid Frank Stanisci of Candid Frank Live. Welcome to the Spanglish World Network on Zingo TV, channel 250. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app at the respective app stores for iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure you rate and leave a comment. Both apps are absolutely free. Make that a good comment, by the way. Zingo TV is available on Google, Chromecast, Amazon Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and also on all smart TVs 2016 forward. And Aaron on this show with me, of course, is Aaron William Freeland. Aaron, hi, buddy.
How you doing, Frank?
Okay, our preference, hockey and lacrosse. Neither of them are happening right now, so there are other sports to talk about. But with the expansion draft happening, there were some decisions made by a lot of teams. In some cases, decisions that were made that were out of their hands because they had agreements that said no movement. So players who had no movement clauses, as we talked at previous shows, they're not like no trade. No movement is different than no trade. If they had a no trade, they could be put on the list to be members of the Seattle Kraken their first year. But because, for example, Tavares has a no movement clause, that means I'm not moving no matter what. So forget about it. So, yeah, so we can talk about hockey right off the top. And what did you think of the players that they decided to protect?
Well, there's always controversy when it comes to this sort of thing. And in particular, I know that not all of the choices made were popular. With reference to Toronto, there were some head scratchers as to why certain players were left unprotected and other players were not. In particular, they were wondering about some defensemen that were protected when you just traded for Jared McCann, and you just you're leaving Kerfoot unprotected at the same time. Carey Price was a bit of a shocker as well, him being left unprotected by the Montreal Canadiens. But I guess they don't expect Seattle to take on a $10.5 million contract. It's a bit of a boat anchor.
They got to hit the ceiling. They got to get past the floor. And here's the thing: wasn't it Vegas that took Fleury, who, in my opinion, didn't have much less of a reputation than Price?
There's a lot more that's coming out now from the Montreal Canadiens about Price's injury status. So that makes things a little bit more interesting.
He has an injury status?
Well, there's some concern over his hip, other recurring injuries that seem to have plagued him over the course of his career. So,
Okay, so
most of these injuries obviously don't come out until after the playoffs are over, correct?
Or they're conveniently laid out there to basically. There's that other portion of thought, which goes. I hate to be the bearer of bad news to suggest that the Montreal Canadiens would do anything untoward. In other words, exaggerating an injury in the event that possibly it might discourage the Kraken from cracking that egg.
Oh, right? It's going to get scrambled if that happens.
Oh, and as far as the Leafs trading for a player, I'm what I find more frustrating watching how the Leafs operate under Dubas is how often they give away draft picks. It's like a knee-jerk reaction. I got a problem. Okay, draft picks. I got a guy I want to get rid of. Nobody wants him. He makes too much money. Okay, I'll give away first-round draft picks. It's constantly it really is mortgaging the future. We all know that. I mean, anybody who's followed hockey for 5 minutes knows that draft choices are how you build a team.
But I think part of the issue here is that Dubas has already gotten a good foundation in place. And he's okay with giving away a few draft picks, at least for the next couple of years, because he's already got 3 or 4 years worth of players that he expects to be fully developed and in the NHL in the next couple of years anyways.
I agree with what you're trying to say, and I will say it differently. They've got the what's that floor at the very top of a building? The penthouse?
Mm-hmm.
They've got the penthouse, just that they go from the penthouse to the basement with nothing in between. That's the problem. Anytime they find something that's in between, it becomes sacrificed. We could have Hyman being sacrificed. We could have Kerfoot being sacrificed different ways. Kerfoot going to the Kraken. Then they'll be able to keep the guy they just traded for that you're talking about. I agree with you. It doesn't matter. As far as I'm concerned, the one thing that I think people should remember about the Vegas experience is that a lot of teams gave up draft picks and asked them not to take players, and they took other players and then gave them players for not taking. You know what I mean? And I think that's one of the things I think as a league and as all the general managers learn. Is it really that important to guess at who's going to be good in a year or two? You know what I mean? And then give up a lot to keep that guy. And then the guy that goes there is 2 times as good as the guy you kept or you're trying to protect. Then you lost a draft choice. No.
Well, the other thing.
Go ahead.
Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off there, Frank, but I was going to say the other thing is everybody is convinced that our players are so star-spangled awesome, we're going to lose our favorite one. But there's like 30 other teams to pick from.
I just think just figure out what guys you want to protect, bite the bullet and say, okay, let's brace yourself. Let's see what happens. And then you got 40 other players. You know what I mean? And out of those 40 players, the guy that you're panicking that they might take, I guarantee you among those 40 players that you left out in the open, there's going to be a player or two that are better. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like to mortgage your future and send, draft picks. No, I don't like the way Dubas does that. Dubas is a draft, not a draft dodger. Yeah, he's a draft dodger. He wants to dodge the draft. I mean, there's not much activity that's going to be happening for the Leafs to be active at the draft. They're going to have to trade players for them to be active. And the thing that bothers me more than anything, and that's what this is all about here, the idea that these all constant changes. I just don't think teams win cups that constantly change. I think there's a theme, a path. You get there. I have not seen a team that's won the cup in the past few years that has revamped their team in September and won the cup in June or July.
No, it's very true. It's very difficult to do that sort of thing. I'm sorry, Frank. I was just going through the list of goalies that are available.
Holy moly! I know
everybody's convinced. Everybody's going to be convinced that Carey Price is going to be the one that's going to go. There are 80 other goalies that are currently available. There is a smorgasbord. You're talking about guys like Antti Ranta, Tuukka Rask was left unprotected,
Bishop.
Yaroslav Halak, Callum Booth, Dustin Tokarski. Okay, Dustin Tokarski is a bit of a reach, but Louis Domingue. Okay, there's another bit of a reach, but there are James Reimer, Peter Mrazek is available.
But you're right, because, during a season, have we not seen an average every year of 7 or 8 goaltenders that came out of nowhere and all of a sudden teams are glad they had them?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Oh yeah.
And that's that's like 14, 15%. 14, 15, maybe as many as 20% of those goaltenders could have a very good year. Right? So
exactly,
this goes to the point I was just talking about. Apparently we agree. Changing players does not help an organization. There's this camaraderie that needs to develop. Every time we watch the Stanley Cup playoffs or any championship series, all you hear the players say is, "I love playing with those guys. I really love playing with those guys. They're really awesome. In our dressing room, we play for each other. I want to play for these guys." You know what I mean? That doesn't happen in 6 months. That kind of...
No.
I mean the real stuff. I don't mean the talk. There's lots of players sit there and say, "We've got a really good room." Meanwhile, they're killing each other back there. You know what I mean? Like, I'm talking about the real, because, just because people say, and sometimes I suspect when they say, "Oh, the room is great. Oh, we love each other." I'm going, huh? What? Why are you saying that? Why is that coming out right now? But, to me, it really is continuity. And that's important where players get to know each other really well. That's why a lot of people are against, the deadline trades, the ones where you bring in guys, you know, for a couple of bucks less, and you bring them in the hopes that they're going to put you over the top.
Hired gun syndrome, where you just sort of bring in the player at the last minute to high-o silver his way to the Stanley Cup, that sort of thing. It never really seems to work out that well, does it?
It all started, I'm old enough to remember, it all started with Butch Goring, who became a New York Islander, who moved over from L.A. It began with him, and he became an MVP. And ever since then, everybody's trying to make that Butch Goring trade. You may be too young to remember, but just trust me on that one. There's some other guys, too, that have done. Maroon is one. These are guys that they're rare. Guys that go to a team who know which team to go to, and the team is ready for their contribution. And they're like, it's not just about Tampa picking Maroon. It's Maroon picking Tampa, too. There are players who pick teams and know, if I go there and I like what I see there, just like coaches and GMs, right? They go to organizations, the really smart ones. They go to places where they can be successful. It's a truism, it is truly true that coaches, general managers, ownership have to set the table for success for each person in whatever position they're in. They have a contribution as it goes down the scale.
Yeah, and it's really the ones who are truly successful are the general managers who are able to shift on the fly and set the table for any player that they bring in, which is a very, very difficult thing to do.
And not worry about what the other guys are doing. The copycat syndrome that the National Hockey League suffers from every Stanley Cup.
Focus on you. That's what GMs have to do, is just focus on you.
It doesn't matter what got someone else there. You got to look at what you got and how what you got can get you there. And again, this sounds silly. It sounds oversimplistic, but the fact is, every team that wins the Stanley Cup it doesn't happen in a rebuild year. It doesn't happen when you add 4 or 5 guys or you change, because all they're doing, one of my favorite sayings, Bob, what's his name? McAdoo. No. Anyway, the guy from 590, Bob McCown, they're just rearranging the deck chairs on the cruise ship. That's all they're doing, just rearranging the deck chairs. You're really not doing anything. And that's basically, a bad sign for me. When I see that happen, I think a team is struggling to look. This here is an opportunity to basically lose one guy, one player, right, out of your whole roster, who's at the very least in your mind the 9th most significant player on your team.
And that's the idea, right? I mean, that's why they let you pick 10 players,
right? You protect you protect your guys, and and you're going to lose somebody who's important, but they're not the most important player you have. They're down the list. But why Vegas ended up doing so well is when you're taking everybody's 9th best player, there's a best player in there that we learned, with Vegas, right? There are players who are only considered the 9th best on their team that in a matter of that season, with a little more confidence, a little more ice time, maybe a little better coaching, a little more, all that stuff, right? They become Marchessault, right?
Exactly.
Fleury. They become Fleury,
Awesome.
right? So, yeah. So, it's going to be an important moment, this draft for the Seattle Kraken. I look at them doing well. I mean, will they do as well as Vegas? I don't think they'll do as well, but they'll come close. What do you think?
I mean, it'd be really hard to duplicate that.
It's always hard to duplicate that kind of success because it's lightning in a bottle, right? I mean, don't forget, it's not just about what that team does. It's what all the other teams did on their behalf, and they really did go shopping for draft picks they even, how scurrilous Las Vegas is. They even got to not have to contribute a player.
That just blows my mind.
It's what? Because they were suffering? They were having a hard time? No, because they offered a lot of money and the owners took that money and they said, we play a little worse. We make a lot more money. I'm okay with that. It's a truism.
It's the trying to match the success that I think is going to cause everybody headaches. And it appears that Seattle has already been trying to do that. Some of the prices that they've been asking to not draft players have been absolutely ludicrous. And teams have finally gotten to the point where they're just like, well, here it is. Just we don't care. Go ahead. Have fun with this. Because I'm not going to pay you I'm not going to pay you 2 draft picks. I'm not going to pay you a first and a second round draft pick to not touch this guy.
Absolutely. I said that at the beginning. I truly believe it. Hey, the Nashville Predators, one of their prospects, you sent me here, Luke Prokop. There was a band and the lead was Skip Prokop. I wonder if they're related. You ever hear of Lighthouse?
Awesome. Oh yeah. I know Lighthouse.
Skip Prokop was the lead, the conductor of because it was an orchestra, a rock orchestra, right? What if this kid's related? Anyway, he's come out as being gay. Big deal. He's gay. All right, sure.
No, I just think it's awesome because the entire Nashville Predators organization has gotten behind him now. Right. And it's absolutely fantastic seeing them support him.
Right? All I'm trying to say is it shouldn't matter. That's what I'm trying to point out.
Oh, definitely. It really shouldn't,
Right. It won't. It does now, an NFL player, now an NHL player, then you'll have an NBA player. And these are people who are who they are. And why not just accept them for what they are? The only qualifier I would suggest is because I know this is stupid, but isn't having a gay guy in your room like having a woman in your room? Like that, sexual tension? No?
He's probably not going to want to hit on you anyways.
No, I didn't mean hit on you. Don't exaggerate what I'm trying to say. Don't take a step further.
But
I'm just saying.
It's not like having a woman in there, Frank, because he's got the same parts you do.
Right. Okay. No, I'm just wondering because I'm old-fashioned. I don't like sexual tension in the dressing room.
Yeah, and I can guarantee a gay player in a hockey locker room, I don't think he's looking at any of his teammates going, I'd like to hit that.
I didn't mean to suggest that. I didn't mean to suggest that as a cut and dried thing. I'm just saying.
No, that seems to be the common complaint, though. A lot of people, when they talk about gay players in rooms.
I'm asking the question because there are a lot of guys in the room who would not like to have a woman reporter come in there when they're coming out of the shower. I just wonder how that's one of the things we have to get over, right? Where we almost have to make the next step to back in the 60s. See, I grew up with unisex, right? And that's not a sexual thing. That's just, men and women were the same. What are we worried about our body parts, right? And that's what I'm saying. That's what we got to what's got to happen because there is there is some politics in this. The tough part for them is they're going to have to deal with people who are answering the question I'm asking. You understand what I'm saying? There's going to be, and there's an adjustment period that's going to need to take place. And I wish this kid all the luck in the world. And I hope, the discomfort that all I'm trying to point out is there's going to be some discomfort. And I hope people can be mature about it and understand like what you're saying. What the point that you're making is very valid. I am not going against that. But what I am saying, and I hope you can understand what I'm trying to say, is there's going to be some uncomfortable people in the locker room not knowing how to act. We saw that with racism, right? We see people who don't know how to deal with somebody who who's different than us and is telling us they're different than us. And now we're wondering, okay, how do we make them feel comfortable? There's going to be a lot of tripping over stuff, and I'm just trying to look at the humorous side of it. I'm not looking at it as, oh my God, it's just going to be kind of funny because people are going to have to ask questions. I worked in the record store. There were gay guys on the second floor selling classical music, and I had no problem with them because I really didn't care, right? But sometimes even they didn't know how to react when they were speaking to me. And I saw people who had difficulty dealing with people who were gay because they just didn't understand how to approach them. And that's the fun part of life is there's going to be some some learning that needs to take place, and there needs to be a little forgiveness and a little understanding that there's going to be some awkwardness from both sides. And I hope this
And
kid's
again,
sheltered enough.
there's a lot of growing up that's going to have to be done. And again,
Absolutely.
I go back to the fact that the hockey pipeline starts at the age of 11 or 12. A lot of these kids aren't exposed to the real world, as it were. This is something that's completely outside of the realm of experience, both for the player coming out, growing up, as much as it is for the players who have been their entire lives. I do know this, though. If they can't get around the fact that he's gay and play up to the game, they're going to get played off the team because he's a dynamite defenseman. So,
Yeah. It's you understood. I can tell what you said there. You understood exactly what I was saying, that there has to be growth. And I'm trying to say we all feel uncomfortable, but sometimes we have to work through it, So be prepared for discomfort. Both sides, again. I'm saying on both sides, the young man and the rest of the team. There's going to be discomfort, and hopefully they'll all work through it. As hard as it was for him to move, to come forward with that, it's going to be easier from here on in, because I think the hardest part is for him to say it out loud. And I think there's going to be a lot of people, and I know there's a lot of people who will support him, who believe in him, who believe he has the right to be a hockey player, and he has a right to be accepted. And the tiny minority that won't accept him will have to learn. That's the only point I was trying to make. But thank you for helping me make it. The Canadian Football League veteran senator Mike Filer has said adios. He's one of my favorite Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Yeah, I think of all the Hamilton Tiger Cats to retire, I think I'd miss him the most. And at the same time, not.
Major League Baseball, the Jays are on the move. By the way, the Jays are kicking Tech's ass.
Yep, they won 10-0 the other night. They're on a 4-game winning streak.
Like 10-2, nothing.
Oh. But
I guess
it stank to those places. Go ahead, Frank.
No. Just we keep talking about relief pitching. I guess relief pitching is not a problem when you win 10-0, 10-2, 5-0.
Well, I mean, when you can out-hit your problems, sure, but then what happens once the hitting comes up?
So the Phoenix Suns jump out to a 2-0 lead, and now Milwaukee's won 3 in a row, and for the first time a team has won on the road. Milwaukee's ahead 3-2. They could end it all.
Yeah, it could very well be done tonight. Basketball, like lacrosse, is a game of runs. Sometimes you get hot, sometimes you go straight in, other times you're ice cold. These things happen, but the Bucks are going to need to turn if they don't want to end their season tonight. So it was the Bucks' first road win of the finals, so that's saying something right there.
Absolutely, and playing on one leg. Gold Cup, Canada's fortunes.
Actually, not bad. Despite losing to the States 1-0, they are through to the knockout round. They're currently waiting on the winner of Group C. Currently, Group C is Costa Rica, Jamaica, Guadeloupe, and Suriname. So they're waiting for the winner of that, and the States will play the runner-up. Currently, it looks like Costa Rica and Jamaica are 1 and 2. So we'll have to see how that comes out.
Manufacturing is up in Canada. That's good news. I wanted to give you a couple of seconds on Ben & Jerry ending ice cream sales in occupied Palestinian territories under pressure.
Yes, there have been some groups that have been trying to get Ben & Jerry's to stop selling in the occupied territories. They have finally bowed to that pressure, saying it was selling in occupied territory was inconsistent with company values.
Capitol rioter gets 8 months for the felony of insurrecting at the Capitol.
Yeah, insurrecting from Florida. Yeah, he's getting 8 months, 2 years probation. They were actually holding out originally for 2 years, but they figured, seeing as the guy was a bit of a ninny hammer, they would let him off a little bit lighter than the rest.
Assaulting the democracy is okay, I guess. I still can't believe what I'm watching. It's like living, I don't know, in the Twilight Zone. Well, Aaron, that's it for another show.
Thanks, Frank.
My pleasure. You've been watching Candid Frank Live. Welcome to the Spanglish World Network on Zingo TV channel 250. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app at the respective app stores for iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure you rate and leave a comment. Both apps are absolutely free. Zingo TV is available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, and Fire TV Sticks. Thanks for watching, everybody. Until next time. I think we're still here.